Hello and welcome to this video where we'll start to deal with using text in Photoshop. And so there's actually two parts here, part one and part two. They sort of build on each other. So one is creating some text here, which we'll run through. And then the second part is playing around with text a little bit and paths. And we'll get it to sort of follow a curve and then later on sort of follow a circle here. So let's take a look here. What we're going to do is create this little Mother's Day card. Advertisement really. We'll grab this picture first, copy, we'll go into Photoshop, and in Photoshop we are going to use this little landscape 6x4, just a postcard size. You can find it under the photos, it's right there. We'll create that. We'll paste it in. Now I know the picture's a lot bigger, so I'm just going to zoom out. Control V to paste it in. Make sure you're on your move tool there. We'll just make it a bit smaller to begin with. And then rotate it on the side. If you hold down Shift, it will lock to certain angles there, so just making it easy. And then depending on what you want, we can sort of bring it in. Something like that. We won't worry too much about it. Okay, so there's our image. Now our text tool is on this side here. And so then we can grab it and basically click in here and start writing some text. And so when I start to write some text, what does it say? Save the date or something? Oops. It puts the lorem ipsum in. That's just placeholder text. So save the date. I'll show you how I did this with the text here in a second. This year, Mother's Day is May 14th. So we'll do that. And so just in terms of the text, if you come over onto the right side when you're in the text, you're in the text tool over here. Obviously, you can change the fonts and so on. Okay, down here, this is what I've been playing with here. This is the sort of small caps text, which I kind of like as a title. You can obviously highlight it all, change it to all full caps, or have it as I did, and then do a bunch of different things as well. Okay, depending on what you need there. We can place it after, if that's not right. I'm going to do another one. So I would, if the styles are different, I would probably create another text box. You could actually drag out a box as well. And you can see it sort of filled it with text, which we'll do in a minute here. Mother's Day sale. Yeah, I think I'm going to balance it with sale here. Good. So something like that. Make this a bit bigger. Now, if you've done it like this, you can't change the text size by just changing the box. So I actually have to go in and change the text size here. Now, if it gets too big, it might go outside of the box. So you might have to extend the box. Obviously, 48 being a bit too big. And maybe go down to a 30. That's probably good there. Maybe bring that over. Okay, so not too bad. Like I said, you can play around with the fonts. I'm not going to worry too much here. And the last one I'm going to do is just that little bit of text down here. So I'm going to drag out a box. Like I said, that will fill it with lorem ipsum. And especially if I go lower on it in terms of size, you can see there. Maybe bring this over so it's left justified for this text, and so on. All right, so you can play around more with the text, obviously, but I think this gives you an idea. A couple things that you might not be aware of if you've never really used text before are, whoops, get rid of that. Sorry, just need to grab this text. There we go. You can play with the line spacing here. So if you want things closer together or further apart, you can. Okay, so that's the vertical height. There's also the horizontal here, which puts some spacing in between the characters. Actually, sorry, yeah, so there's the spacing there. That's what separates it apart. This one here, I'm not 100% sure the difference. Metrics versus optical. Yeah, but that's going to be your basics here. Okay, you can also click on this. It gives you a few more things. Okay, and some brings it back. Same thing here. Some different ways of being very specific with it. Okay, and again, some type options and so on. So feel free to play around with those, but that's the basics of the text. Now the second part gets a little bit more tricky. we are going to look at, like I said, running it along curves. And so when I take a little look at the first one here, we're following a path that we've sort of created. And so what we'll do is use this Freeform tool, and you can change the smoothness, which I'll show you in a second here. And then we're just going to create like a little bit of a curve here to get the to get the text to follow along with it. So let's take a little look here. Just click off of that one. So the Freeform tool is under this pen tool here, which is hidden at the moment. Let me just see. There we are, pen tool, Freeform tool. And up here, there are some things in terms of smoothness and thickness and so on. I thought there was a smoothness one there, but curve fit, that's probably what it is. Let's just see here. Tolerance. Okay, so if we increase that, that would probably make it smoother. And so what I'll just do, let's just zoom out a little bit. And we'll put it down here. And we'll just sort of create a little bit of an arc. So I'm going to do is click once, click twice. Whoops, I guess this one's a little bit different, sorry. Click once and drag it over. And then we've got some sort of curve. And you can see how it smoothed it out there. So that's my text on a curve. Next, I want to put my text on the curve. And what I have to do is kind of come over here, and then you can see right there where it switches from the regular text tool into that text on a curve. And so if I click here, it will sort of put the starting point, and I can start to type my text. And let me try that again. It's got a P on it. Now sometimes, oops, let's go back here. This is always a little bit finicky. Okay. So it does have the P on it here, but I can't see it. So what I'm going to do is grab this little tool here, which is I think I want the direct selection tool. Let me just see. Nope, that one. Let me try the other one. Path selection tool. And I just saw my text here. What I want to be able to, oh, there we go. I want to drag this guy out. It's because I got a very large text that I couldn't see it before. And I think it's good now. So I'm going to grab back my text tool. Click onto here. Highlight this one because I need it's much smaller. Let's go down to like a 10 point or something like that. Sure. And let's just see what happens. I also think because it's centered, that's part of the issue. So there we go. That's looking better. And I could, this is probably still too big. Whoa. Okay, let's just go back. Let's go from the start, see if that helps. So I still think I'd like to sort of just reset all this. I wonder if I can. Doesn't seem to be. What I'm going to do is just auto maybe, and then set this back to 0 here, and then just try maybe a little bit smaller too on that font. Photo by, and we'll just put a name in. Well, we should put the real artist name. What is his name? Erhold Ahmed. So Errol Ahmed. It looks like it's going to be a little bit too big. So I think I'll just highlight that and reduce it a little bit more. If I can, now there's no others. Can I drag this back? There we go. 4. There. Okay, so that should be good. I didn't quite get this one, so let me just make that 4 as well. There we go. So there's on a curve, okay? So we've got Errol Ahmed. Now the next thing is to try to do the circle, okay? And so the circle, and sorry, I'll just mention, don't worry about that line. Once you get off the line, it just disappears because it's just a path. It's not actually a line per se. So the second part there is trying to do the circle. So we're going to do an ellipse here, okay? And we're going to make sure that it's a path. And then we'll drag out that circle and hold the shift key to make sure that it's a perfect circle. And then we'll use this text tool again to sort of begin and end the typing. So we want this freshness guaranteed. So let's see if we can do that. So again, so we're going to go on the shapes here, which is down here, and make sure you've got an ellipse. And then up here, so we don't want a shape, we want a path. And again, don't worry too much about where we're drawing it. Hold the shift down and that will make it a perfect circle. Again, grab your your text tool, click in somewhere. It should turn into a path at some point. Let's just see. There we go. Now it's sort of put text everywhere here, so we should be pretty good. So fresh, I start with a G, I think. Freshness guaranteed. And obviously that needs to be a bit bigger to fit. And then I could play with the spacing again. Get back to that. Of course, when you're trying to do it, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to make this, just play around with the size here. That's probably pretty good. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it like that. And then I just can move it back. So to do that is, again, that path selection tool. And I can just sort of drag it back. And I don't know why I've lost part of it there. Let's try this again. Just zoom in a bit here. This one I've always found a little bit finicky. So I've lost it because I've gone with this. There we go. So that's not too bad there. So I've got that freshness guaranteed, and then hopefully I can get that last little bit in, which, yeah, so we could center the text and so on. We want to get this other one, 45 degrees, okay, that one. What we want is on the inside, freshness guaranteed, next day delivery. So let me just figure this one out here for a second. So to get the inside text, what we're going to do is actually duplicate this guy. So I'm going to use I'm going to Control D. That should have duplicated it. Let's just try this again. Or else I could just hold down the Alt key, I believe. There we go. So that will do that. So I've got this one. I want to get this text onto the inside. And I think I can use this path tool. And I just sort of pull it in. There we go. Oops, I'm moving along. It's a little finicky, like I said. Okay, so there's freshness. And then what I would just do, take my text tool. And what did we write on this one? Next day delivery. So let's see if we can get that in there. And then we've got some problems with the, oh, that's ending it there. So we'll fix that in a second. Next day delivery. There we go. And again, that path tool. So you kind of got to use these two in conjunction. And then let's see if we can move that. I guess I have to move from this side. There we go. We're losing a little bit of it here. I think just because this guy. Maybe move that up and move that down. There's a little bit of a delay there. That's what makes it a little bit tricky. Okay, so something like that. And then I would move this whole thing up back into that circle. So if I wanted it right on that circle, probably like that. Next day delivery. Last thing I'll do is a little bit of a text effect here in the middle. So we're going to just create this, like it shows here, this bulge. Okay. And so, like it says, make it thicker font and then use the warp text tool to give it some character. So I'm going to do that, try to do this quickly to get into this 15 minutes here. And so I'll put in, what was it, 100%, something like that. Oops. Something like that. Just make this bigger. So because I didn't drag out the box, I can sort of create this. There, don't hold the shift key down. There we are. So 100%, and we've got like that. And then, like I said, you can use a bit of the text warp tool. And to grab that, you need to sort of be in the text. So I'll just highlight that. And if I can see it, which was hidden by my little toolbar for my recording, it's this guy right here. And then so you can go in and you can play. I'm just going to use the bulge one here. That's the one I did before. And there you go. Okay, feel free to play around a little bit more. But there we are. So a simple little thing there. Doesn't look too bad, but that gives you the idea of how to put things on a path, text on the path. It is a little bit finicky, but once you sort of play with it a bit, it does make sense. It just takes some time to get familiar with it. All right, good luck.